off the scale of body shot, you're a liar and all this for no reason. And what happened now?
Class and fair play to him. And if he hangs his gloves up now and retires, he will retire as maybe one of the best fighters.
Listen, Daniel, be honest with yourself. You got knocked out and now you're acting like you're still in the mix. Come on, bruv. You ain't built for this. Well, I took bombs from Usyk and stayed standing, you crumbled like a biscuit. Time to pack in there. Retire before someone really hurt you.
Derek Chisora didn't hold back, and he told Dubois straight to retire. After folding against Usyk, Chisora saw no reason for him to continue. No chin, no fire, and no fight left.
Standing in front
Chisora
of cameras
made it
with
brutal
his
and final.
delivery.
Dubois
made it
quit,
crystal
and in
clear.
this sport,
Dubois
that's
should retire
unforgivable.
from boxing.
For Derek,
According to the
it's
battle-hardened
simple.
heavyweight,
Dubois
there's
must leave
simply
boxing
nothing
now.
left for Dubois
But
to
hold
prove.
on,
And more
it didn't end
importantly,
there.
nothing left for
Chisora
him to
came back
give.
even angrier
Chisora
in the
cut
next
straight
clip,
to the
and
core.
this time,
After
he
folding
didn't
so
just
tamely
question
against
Dubois'
Usyk,
heart,
Dubois
he
showed
shattered
in
it.
Chisora's eyes.
Yeah, man, he quit. I don't understand. You know, they were supposed to train him different. They did not. I mean, like, it's big time. It was set for him to win it. You know, it was set for him to win it. You know, when I went to graduate, to say how you feel. You know, Don Child goes to me, "Oh, go suck your best friend's dick." I'm like, okay, cool, then now.
That he lacked the essential qualities required to survive at the top level. No chin, no fire, no fight left, Chisora said, his words landing like body shots. He didn't mince words, didn't attempt to sugarcoat the reality. He labeled the performance unforgivable, accusing Dubois of quitting in a way that betrayed the very essence of what it means to be a fighter. In Chisora's book, quitting is the
First 2 shots in the fight hit Daniel on the chin. And then that's when Daniel just quit. He could not gather himself. He didn't throw the double jab. He didn't go. He didn't actually say no one.
He didn't step into it.
He didn't bite his gumshoe and say, no, I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah.
When you say the first 2 shots in the fight, they went to the chin, then he quit, what do you mean by that?
I mean, like, he just folded, he just quit. I mean, like, in a way, not quit like walking out the ring. Quit off like, you know what? I'm just gonna
ultimate sin, and for him, there was only one solution left for Dubois: leave the sport for good. But it didn't end there. In the next clip, Chisora came back even angrier, his tone turning from cold dismissal to outright fury. If his first message was sharp, the second was like a sledgehammer. This time, Chisora didn't just accuse Dubois of quitting.
I think that's the decision he's made, and we've had, I mean, what he's given to British boxing has been amazing.
Dissected the entire collapse piece by piece with visible disgust. He talked about how Dubois never bit down on his mouthpiece, never summoned the grit needed to survive when things got rough. According to Chisora, Dubois folded from the very first meaningful punches Usyk landed, and from that moment on, he was fighting only to survive, not to win. In heavyweight boxing, Chisora snarled, fighting to...
What he did to Daniel, it took away everything, all his attributes. He took away his jab, took away his power, took away his movement, took away his confidence, to the point where Daniel was putting his backside on the floor thinking, wow, you know, we're only in round 5 here and I'm getting chopped up. And this guy...
To survive is pure humiliation. He painted Dubois' entire approach as timid, stripped of the ambition and courage that separates champions from pretenders. Chisora's anger stemmed not only from Dubois' performance, but from what it symbolized: a fighter with physical gifts but no warrior's mentality. While Chisora was ripping into Dubois, promoter Frank Warren attempted to take a softer, more reflective approach. Warren, who has guided Dubois' career for years, tried to wrap the humiliating loss in a blanket of nostalgia, reminding fans of Dubois' past contributions to British boxing and the promise he once held. But Warren's tone was almost funereal, more like a farewell speech than an expression of support. He praised Dubois' achievements, but seemed to tacitly acknowledge that the future might not hold much more. Deep down, Warren likely knows this could be the end of the road. Then came Johnny Nelson, who stripped away any emotional cushioning and analyzed the fight with surgical precision. Nelson made it clear that Usyk didn't just beat Dubois, he dismantled him in every department.
Dubois, to me, in the first round, looked really tired. I don't know if it was the occasion that got to him. Obviously, Usyk got to him, but his punches had no snap on them. When Dubois fought Anthony Joshua, in the first round, he sat out his stall and he went to work straight away. Steady jab, stiff jab, big jab. He jabbed Joshua to death in the first 30 seconds. But in this fight against Usyk, the jab was pretty much non-existent.
Every weapon Dubois was supposed to have was methodically neutralized. His jab, once a potent tool, completely vanished under Usyk's relentless footwork and timing. The vaunted power that had stopped lesser opponents simply disappeared. By round 5, Nelson observed Dubois looked broken, sitting in his corner between rounds like a man who had run out of answers. That wasn't just defeat, Nelson said. That was a masterclass from Usyk. He noted how Dubois appeared stunned and hopeless, a hollow shell of the fighter he was once marketed to be. Nelson emphasized that Dubois wasn't merely beaten physically, he was dismantled mentally, left searching for solutions that never came. Duke McKenzie, another respected voice in British boxing, didn't bother softening the blow either. Daniel looked mentally finished the moment the bell rang, McKenzie said bluntly. From the very first round, McKenzie saw a sluggish, flat-footed fighter who was already overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task. There was no snap to his punches, no sense of urgency in his movement, and most damning of all, no visible intent to turn the tide.
That was the case, and I think Daniel forced him into the ropes and he just walked onto a check hook high up on the head, and then obviously in the 2 phases of attack, Usyk did in them with the left hook around the side of the right hand, and he executed it very well.
McKenzie pointed out the disappearance of Dubois' jab, a weapon that had rattled fighters like Anthony Joshua when Dubois was sparring in the past. Against Usyk, it was nowhere to be found. Instead of rising to the occasion, Dubois seemed to sink under the weight of pressure. McKenzie noted that Usyk didn't even need time to download information. He read Dubois instantly, took control of the fight, and never let go. For McKenzie, the problem went deeper than the punches. He spoke of a fighter drained before the war even started, lacking hunger, confidence, and belief in himself. And if a seasoned observer like McKenzie could spot those flaws within seconds, imagine what a technician like Usyk saw standing directly in front of him. Joe Gallagher, one of the UK's top trainers, then broke down the exact moment Dubois walked himself into destruction. Gallagher described it clinically, but the underlying message was devastating. Dubois made a rookie mistake. He had Usyk backed into the ropes, but failed to protect himself or position his feet properly. Usyk, a master of angles, landed a check hook high on Dubois' head, then followed up with a vicious left hand that sealed his fate. Gallagher called it unfortunate, but in truth, it was self-inflicted.
I don't think there's nothing more for him to prove. What is he's in a situation like all good fighters when they start coming to the end of the career. You've got the next gen coming through. You've got your upperties that want to move up and fight him. You've got the young guns.
A top-level heavyweight, Gallagher noted, should never walk blindly into traps. Dubois, however, offered no adjustment, no plan B, and no defensive awareness. He was picked apart like an amateur. Gallagher's tone carried a hint of pity, but fans and analysts knew the truth. This was an elite fighter being exposed on the world stage, and the contrast, Gallagher pointed out, could not have been more glaring. While Dubois' career now seemed filled with doubts and question marks, Usyk's was all about dominance and legacy. Gallagher shifted his focus to the Ukrainian's greatness, describing him as a tactician who had already scaled the mountaintop of boxing. Usyk's legacy, Gallagher argued, was now about fending off the new generation of heavyweights attempting to test themselves against a master. Usyk, Gallagher explained, is still hungry, still motivated, still at the top of his craft. Dubois, by contrast, is now being spoken of in the past tense. That gap, Gallagher concluded, is massive, and the pressure moving forward is no longer on Usyk to prove himself. It's on every other heavyweight, including Dubois, to prove they even belong in the same ring. Then came Dave Allen, and he
up at the count of 10, and he walked straight past Usyk, straight to the corner. He was completely fine. I think, and you know what, it's horrific to say I've quit. It's not horrific to say I'm quit. I'm chairman of the quit committee. I'm top quitter, I guess. Anyway. He quit, yeah, he did.
He didn't even try to be diplomatic. Allen, known for his no-nonsense attitude, labeled Dubois a quitter outright. And he didn't just say it once, he stamped it, owned it, and mocked it. Allen described how Dubois got hit, stayed down until the referee counted to 10, and then casually walked back to the corner as if it was a routine sparring session. No pain, no wobble, just surrender. Allen scoffed. For him, this wasn't about Dubois being hurt. It was about Dubois choosing not to fight through the storm. Allen's brutal honesty cut deep. That's not heart, that's cowardice. He even dubbed himself the chairman of the quit committee, turning Dubois' defeat into a public humiliation. Allen's comments highlighted the most damning narrative of all. This wasn't just a knockout loss, it was a conscious decision to stay down. In boxing, Allen reminded everyone, that's the deadliest decision a fighter can make. The legends weighed in too. Lennox Lewis, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, reacted with reverence for Usyk's performance. Greatness in motion, Lewis called it. He marveled at Usyk's footwork.
Listen, he was unbelievable. He was on form today. He boxed great. He did the right things. He was counter-punching, and he was moving well, and he wasn't getting caught. And he started off with a jab, so
work, timing, sharp counters, and complete command of distance. Lewis praised Usyk's jab, his ability to manage the pace of the fight, and his knack for creating openings like a surgeon. When a legend tips his hat like that, one analyst said, you know you've witnessed a masterclass. And that's exactly how Lewis framed it. While Usyk delivered a career-defining performance, Dubois looked like a man stuck in quicksand, slow, reactive, and completely lost. As Lewis praised Usyk's brilliance, the gap between elite and exposed had never seemed wider. Usyk rose even higher in the eyes of fans and pundits, while Dubois' reputation took another crushing blow. Don Charles, a respected trainer who has spent decades in the sport, didn't need to write an essay. His reaction was silence, stunned silence. When the fight ended in round 4, Charles later admitted he felt betrayed. Fans, he said, had paid to see a war, and instead they got a one-sided surrender. Charles called it a con. He believed Dubois hadn't just underperformed, he had completely vanished. For a man like Charles, who values fire and grit above all else, this was the kind of failure that leaves a...
I'm speechless. I usually got a lot to say. I'm speechless. The fight ended in round 4, and we got conned out of it.
Permanent stain. And then came the knockout blow. Not in the ring, but from within Dubois' own family. Caroline Dubois, Daniel's younger sister and a talented boxer in her own right, unleashed raw anger after the fight. When your own family calls you a disgrace, the gloves are off. Caroline didn't offer excuses. She didn't say her brother would come back stronger. She called the performance what millions were thinking, a disgrace. Her words weren't carefully planned. They were emotional, personal, and brutally honest. Caroline had watched Daniel rise through the ranks, face setbacks, and fight for redemption. But this was the final straw. Her disappointment wasn't just professional, it was personal. She likely expected her brother to go down swinging if he was going to lose. Instead, she saw him back away when things got tough, and that kind of collapse doesn't just embarrass a fighter, it shakes the entire family name. If you thought Caroline's reaction was harsh, wait until you hear what Stan Dubois, Daniel's father, had to say. Stan didn't leap to his son's defense. He practically sided with the opponent. Instead of consoling Daniel or offering a message of redemption, Stan praised Usyk's brilliance and admitted that Daniel's best effort wasn't even close.
There's no pretend, the man is supremely talented, but time and season is everything in the sport and...
Close. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't talk about bad luck or needing more time. Stan flatly stated that Usyk was the superior fighter and that Daniel's top gear couldn't even touch the Ukrainian master. For a father, that's a ruthless stance. But it also underlined just how glaring the gap was. When even your father is publicly acknowledging you are outclassed, it cements the reality. Usyk didn't just win, he left the Dubois family split between support and disappointment. After everything we've witnessed from Chisora demanding retirement to Caroline calling her brother a disgrace, Daniel Dubois isn't just under fire, he's drowning in it. This wasn't a simple loss, it was a collapse so dramatic it sent shockwaves through British boxing. Johnny Nelson broke it down with precision. Usyk stripped Dubois of every strength and exposed every flaw. Don Charles was left speechless. Caroline Dubois turned on him. Stan Dubois didn't even defend his own son. Dave Allen branded him the face of quitting. When that many insiders, veterans, and family
it is necessary now for him to come back and, can be a 2-time champion.
Well, that's up to him. We'll have a chat and see what he wants to do.
Do you know yet what you'd like?
Members all point the finger. Redemption feels almost impossible. So now the question hangs in the air like a loaded punch. What's left for Daniel Dubois? Can he come back from this kind of humiliation? Or was this the final chapter of a career that promised so much but delivered so little? If he stays, every step forward will be haunted by this defeat. If he retires, he walks away as the heavyweight who folded when it mattered most. Meanwhile, Oleksandr Usyk continues to reign with clinical dominance, proving once again why he's levels above the rest of the division. The heavyweight landscape has shifted, and now the fans have to decide, do you still believe in Daniel Dubois, or has his time expired for good? Because after this collapse, the heavyweight division will never look at him the same again. And maybe, just maybe, neither should we.